Derek Carr trade talks? Are we back to this world again?
I mean, Jerry McDonald, who, is a Raider loyalist, had a tweet. And I do think he was right.
I mean, Raider reporter, a long-time
Raider reporter. Yeah. That over the years, listen, it's not really arguable that Derek's name, right or wrong, has just been out in the ether for 4 straight years, right? With John, with his status, would they try to replace him? And he has been adamant. I mean, he said it on the record multiple times. He will retire before he plays for another team. And this is not like Andy Dalton or someone. This is a player that if the Raiders just said, if Mark Davis tweeted from the Raiders account, these will be the last 4 games of Derek's career with the Raiders. If we miss the playoffs, we will entertain trade offers at the end of the season. He would be a guy that other teams would 100% trade for. 1,000,000%. They would get a first-round pick from the Saints, probably get one for the Eagles, the football team. He would get a first-round pick, and no one would think it would be that weird. If they blow this thing up, which we know they're going to blow it up. I mean, it's already blown up. If they decide to go in a different direction, because ultimately he has to get paid, right? Are they going to extend him or not? I don't know, man. He's really going to retire if they want to go in a different direction. I know he said that, and I've watched him say that a couple times, and he's like, I don't think he's making that up. I think he believes it when he says that. What happens when Sean Payton gets on the phone with him? When Ron Rivera gets on the phone with him?
Because those are the people that would want him. There's some, right?
Bro, I have an 8 or 9 win team right now with no quarterback.
My question is,
hey Derek, I go to the playoffs a lot.
Would the next Raider coach want to trade Derek Carr for picks? To do drafting and delay any evaluation of their work for another 3 years? Because you're not letting these guys do it, right? Mayock. It's whoever comes next would have to want to trade him.
Yeah. You would think they would just want to play, but what if Mark's like, I don't want to give him $140 million?
I mean, we're nearing a decision here, right?
Yeah. That's where I think, when you see Jerry tweeting about it, I do think it's kind of bubbling up. His value is his value. He's not signing a $75 million contract like he did last year. I know it was worth 150, but I'm saying the guaranteed money. Remember, it was relatively low. The guaranteed money, that was 4 or 5 years ago. At minimum, what's Derek's true guarantees? 125?
Minimum.
It would be by a country mile the biggest contract the Raiders have ever signed. They're not even close, right? They've had off seasons where they gave out $50 million in guaranteed money. It's different giving one guy $130 million, right? Immediately, basically.
But
for a position that
But what are they going to sell?
Well, I don't know. I'm not saying they will trade him or anything, but we've seen enough time. He's been there for so long. It'd be I don't know. I don't think he's a lock to come back. And I do think he would be, I think he would come out and say, I'm not bullshitting, I will retire. I do think there would be guys like Ron Rivera and Sean Payton. I'm just using those two guys as examples because those are the type guys that if they had a phone call with Derek Carr, I do think he would have a serious conversation with guys like that, like lifetime football guys that have pelts on the wall, especially Sean Payton, where it's hey, Derek, I'm the offensive coordinator. So it's I'm not just the head coach here, I'm the coordinator. I call the plays. It's me and you. Would probably be even different, right, than Ron, right? If Sean Payton got on the phone, it's hey, Derek, I have a 5-year, $80 million contract myself. I call the plays. The offense is mine. And when you come, it's ours. Call Drew. Ask him how it goes. Right? Yeah, I think that would be a tough conversation for Derek. Be I'm just retiring or I can go play for Sean Payton.
Yeah, I think there's some teams. Now, I don't think I know he has said it. I don't think he would retire if it was clear the Raiders were about to trade him. However, there are some teams that are more retirable than others. But I think there's a good number of teams that are. There's the team you just mentioned, right? I think Sean Payton is number 1 on the list. Guys you can't walk away from. He will make you better than you've been before. You'll fall in love with the New Orleans community, the Saints. It'd be wonderful, Derek. Pittsburgh, number 2. Mike Tomlin, another legendary franchise, right? Legendary coach. How do you say no to that?
Who are they going to have to be a quarterback?
Denver? Elway call?
I don't think the Raiders would trade him to Denver. I don't even think that's an option.
Okay. The Giants, retireable. Okay.
Yeah.
The Bears, depending on who their coach is, but they've got Justin Fields now, who no better time to come back from 3 cracked ribs than at Lambeau Field. So good luck. Detroit, no thanks. Atlanta, I mean, I actually don't think it'd be terrible, but you don't like have to take Arthur Smith's call right now if you're Derek. Carolina, that's a weird situation. Not only on there, who gets fired in week 2 of the bye, John? Joe Brady.
Weird. Yeah.
Minnesota? I would say
this is not going anywhere though.
Okay. Philly?
I mean, they're right in the wild card mix.
I think you got to take that call selfishly. Football team? Yeah.
What would the package be? We'll give you Minshew and Jalen and a first. You guys decide?
Yeah, just anybody but.
Do you think the
Devontae.
Raiders could trade him to the Steelers? Like if you're Mark Davis, like in the AFC, all of a sudden, what if they're good with him and we could never figure it out?
Well, here's what you can't.
What can they really give us? Like, okay, what are they going to give you, guy? Pick 20?
What you can't have is him retire.
Well, then if he was going to retire, you would just be like, well, just come back, play out your contract, right?
Well, yeah, which is then why wouldn't they prefer that? Cleveland?
I think they would be very interested, yes.
Would he take that call? I think Stefanski's a good coach. I think they have the potential there.
It's just the brand. Like, does he want to go
Very
play for the
weird.
Browns?
No.
No, I think Browns would be like, well, we've made the playoffs as many times as you in the last 2 decades.
Miami?
Tua's having a good little run here.
The Jags, no. I'm sorry, not the Jags. The Texans, no. The Jets, whatever. They're not calling at this point. And the Giants, that doesn't do anything for you. Tennessee? Is that an upgrade for Tennessee?
I think they'd sniff around.
And I think you'd take that call.
I think this. They've hired whoever to run the organization. And a week or 2 in, everything is on the table for the Raiders. They will entertain trading Derek Carr. I think the amount of teams that you just listed, they're getting calls from 15 NFL teams. His market would be robust. Honestly, you might get more than a first-round pick. Couldn't you see, I give you 1 this year and a 3rd next year or something?
I think it depends too, right? Like if
he does have to be extended, so it's not like he's Stafford where he's under contract for multiple years.
I think you get more than a 1 and a 3 for Derek Carr.
We'll have to see how the season ends.
I think you might get 2 1s.
Kind of struggling.
Yeah.
He had a moment where he's checking the ball down with the big spot last week.
There will be good quarterbacks coming into the NFL at some point.
He's on his third. He's a little older. I would agree if he was like 25 or 26, there was more hope. He is kind of what he is a little bit.
I know, but you trade like a good second for a backup quarterback. Not a backup quarterback.
You trade him for like Jimmy.
Let me rephrase.
I think a 1's a lot.
I think you get more than just 1-1 for Derek Carr. I mean, he's a starting NFL. He's a top half starting NFL quarterback.
Well, the Washington football team gave 2 2s for Alex. Or no, excuse me. The Chiefs gave 2 2s for Alex. And then I think when they traded him to Washington, they gave a 2. And Alex, when the Washington football team got him, he was pretty good. He was every bit as good as Derek. Things were a little different, I would say, with quarterback-wise.
I think Derek's better.
Than Alex Smith?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that he's still going to have a ways to go to put his that career together, but I think, yes. I think if you're Sean Payton, you'd rather have Derek Carr right now than prime Alex Smith.
So you're saying if Andy Reid would have had Derek Carr instead of Alex Smith for that 4 out of 5 years in Kansas City before Mahomes, or maybe it was 3 out of 4 years, whatever, he would have made the playoffs all those years with Derek as well?
I'm saying if he would have had I'm saying if he would have had Alex Smith, he would have traded Derek Carr away. If he would have had Derek, he would have traded him away for more than he got for Alex. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But my point is, if he would have had Derek all those years in Kansas City when they were good, right?
Yeah.
But Alex good, right? They were winning 11 games and couldn't win a playoff game. Are they doing the same with Derek?
I don't know. I think he might have more turnovers, but I'm just saying I think he would then look like a better quarterback than Alex looked after his. I think he'd have more value as a player in a trade. Like, I think Alex Smith does not win you as many games for Sean Payton as Derek Carr might. And I just think the potential ceiling is higher. I think that's probably what it comes down to.
Well, what I'd be interested as is, and Coach Reed loves Alex, but I know he liked Derek. If you were in the same position, Andy, in 2014 and you needed a quarterback, would you rather have that version of Alex you were getting from the Niners or this version of Derek? Kind of similar ages. Maybe Alex was like a year older, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer would be. You would assume Derek, but like I've seen Alex in a playoff game, multiple, and he's
yeah.
the one game he couldn't throw a first down.
It's just about ceiling. Like, I think Derek's ceiling would be viewed as higher.
But this is, I think, where the pushback would be from older people in just sports. You're using the word ceiling with a 30-year-old guy. We're kind of learning it with Matt Stafford at 32, 33.
Yeah. I'm not talking about.
Sometimes we overhype that.
Well, what I mean is not what he could be in 2 years. I just mean the things you can do with him in a given game based on his physical arm.
Like the first 3 or 4 games of this season, right? I mean, he showed it when his team was healthy.
Now, we like G on the stream said Derek's been there 8 years and hasn't sniffed the playoffs. There's different levels of having to carry a team, and there's a difference between having to carry a team and having to help carry an offense. And I think Derek could do more in terms of carrying an offense with, say, Sean Payton than Alex.
Yeah, and if I was Derek's agent and I didn't have to worry about
Alex
Mark
had a
Davis
season where he didn't throw a touchdown pass to a receiver.
in Kansas City.
In Kansas City, yeah.
If I was defending Derek from the guy that said he hasn't sniffed the playoffs, I'd be like, well, yeah, he plays for the fucking Raiders.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You go there. It's a joke franchise.
Like Peyton Manning can carry a franchise, okay? Most guys can't carry a franchise. This guy should be able to carry an offense. But
and listen, I don't hold them responsible for all these things, but like you had to fire your coach 5 weeks in. You lost your star receiver who's going to go to jail for 20 years. And you had to cut a first rounder for showing guns. Like, that's the Raiders. Again, like that's not Derek's fault or even Mayock's. Like, it's some of this stuff's out of your control, but that's the Raiders, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'd say those 3 incidents kind of define the franchise.
DM says, pretty sure the QB was the second most passing yards in the league, is worth 2 firsts.
I would say passing yards are a pretty overrated stat.
While I agree they're overrated, I think Derek's worth. I'm not positive it's 2 1s, but to me it's closer to 2 1s than it is a 1 and a 3, maybe a 1 and a 2.
I think giving up 2 1s for Derek would be pretty bold.
It would be. But like I said, as one NBA scout said to me yesterday when I said, what's going on in college basketball right now? He's like, I'll tell you what's going on. 18 years ago, the wrong moms and the wrong dads got together. And I think that's kind of how great of a line is that?
Well,
and
he's like saying it's a bad year for the draft.
Yeah, he was just talking about college basketball in general. I'm like, where's all the good teams? He's like, I'll tell you. And then he said that. So I think that might apply to college quarter. To like you could make that line. You could say that right now if you're looking at the crop of NFL bound quarterbacks.
Well, did they get 2 1s for Stafford because he was worth 2 1s, or because so many other teams were interested, or a combination of both?
A combination of both. And I do think, you make an interesting point. Like, just talking about the player in a bubble, there is another conversation, which is, what is the market?
Yeah.
Right.
But I would say this, the market, if they were both in the same market, like if there were just 2 homes that are for sale, Matt Stafford's home would have been valued more than Derek Carr's home. Right?
Yeah.
He's valued more.
Yeah.
But like you just listed, there might actually be more teams who would theoretically be pretty aggressive to get Derek. So that just naturally drives up the price, right? You've tried to buy homes. I mean, fuck, when the line's out the door, you got to offer more money.
Well, if you're the Panthers, let's say, would you rather trade a 4th-round pick for a quarterback you don't think is your future, or just 2 1s for a guy that has a shot? At that position, I'd always rather overpay for the potential that I'm getting something good than band-aiding
try to
it
do
with
the discount.
3rd-round picks. Yeah,
They did a second. I would say a second's not nothing, but it's
that's
definitely
even
a
crazy.
discounted value over the Stafford thing.
Yeah.